The TV series I'm going to review for you today is Spartacus, um, which I'm going to review the whole series basically. Um, Starting off with the first season, Blood and Sand, starring Andy Whitfield, uh, Manu Bennett, Peter Mensah, Lucy Lawless, among others. Um, Jai Courtney. Um, so yeah, I thought with me having a shirt off would be appropriate for this fleshy series. And also show off my tattoo that was inspired by the show. Basically, it says "Life is worth fighting for," which kind of hints at the gladiatorium and the helmet. Um, but so the show was released in 2010 on Stars. And as soon as the trailer came on, I was like hooked. I was like, I'm gonna see this shit because it looks so good. Like I love stuff like that. Um, I didn't expect it to be as bloody as it was, which I don't mind it. Um, because it is a very hostile time back then. Um, so I'm gonna start with saying how first off, Spartacus, the actor that played him, Andy Whitfield, sadly passed away of cancer. Um, so he wasn't able to play the Spartacus throughout the other series, unfortunately. But for this Spartacus, to me, is the only Spartacus really. Well, Liam McIntyre, whatever his name is, he wasn't bad. It was just I was so used to Andy's Spartacus, and he was the first one on board, and he was just so much better and more realistic, and he was buff, so you felt a presence and also saw it too of his strength. Um, which as Liam McIntyre is not even any buffer than Agron in the later series. He's like the least of them. But anyway, so you all know the story. I'm just going to review my thoughts on it and my what I like and dislike, which there's really nothing I dislike about it, honestly. But so, well, there's a nitpick is that the blood. Some of it looks really fake. You can tell it's not like actual stage blood. For some reason, they didn't go with that. They just went with computer computerized blood, I guess, or whatever. It looks pretty distracting sometimes, especially in the first season because they do slow it down, like they do slow mo throughout the fights, and every little jab and kick is like. But through the later series, it doesn't do that quite as much, which is great because that was really distracting in the first season. I didn't care for that; as annoying. But the the cast was great, and the writing was really good. There was a whole bunch of cunts and fucks and cocks and um, yeah. Someone could become an alcoholic if they drank for all the cuss words that was in this show. Um,
Show me. He attacks boldly to hasten victory.
so throughout the series, and the tone of the story is really dark and grounded, but their choice of words with, the Jupiter's cock and my cock rage is on. It's it kind of comes off comical to me. I guess this is my sense of humor, but um, they say it at least maybe 10 times per episode, or more. I haven't actually counted. But, so, the star of the show is obviously Andy Whitfield as Spartacus, but then, I've always loved Lucy Lawless as Xena. I had a huge crush on her as a kid, and I still kind of do in the show. She's a snake. Well, she's like this evil person, who plays Lucretia, um, the Dominus's wife. But so as the season progresses, it gets more intense and more people die, unfortunately, which makes it so great for the climax at the end when they kill all the Romans. That's because you just despise them all. Like, they really build up these characters for you to hate their guts, and it makes you feel good when you see them splat out all over the floor. But Andy Whitfield, again, I can't praise him enough for his work in this. Like, he does such a good job, especially with his voice. Like, it was so deep and like intimidating, but at the same time, it didn't seem forced. It is like really natural. And it's just, I don't know, he was just really a gifted actor. And if you haven't seen the movie Gabriel with him in it, I would definitely check that out. He's like basically a fallen angel. And he gets revenge on the other angels or something. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but check that out. Anyway, back to Spartacus. So the cast is really, really good. And even if there might be some characters you absolutely hate, it equals out because there's characters that you really love and you want to see live throughout the season, which you don't. So that sucks. But it's gladiatorial, that's what happens, I guess. So the later seasons, Andy is deeply missed. Like, all the fans that grew on the show and are following Andy and his journey, with his family and everything, with his biographies and just knowing what he was going through at such a young age, at only 30, and at the peak of his fame, basically. And to create such a amazing character for us, without him, the other seasons really lacked. Which the writing was still good, the other cast members were still there, but it just didn't feel quite right. It took a long time for you to actually, accept that, this isn't Andy, it's someone else, someone's new, another portrayal, someone different. So, I mean, the seasons went on without him, physically. The prequel series, the prequel 6 episodes with Gannicus, were basically a villain season for Andy's treatment to get better. Which a lot of people didn't like it because it didn't have Spartacus in it, which is basically the whole point of the show. Which I still liked it. But like Peter Menta is really good in it, as always, and Destin Clare was good as Gannicus, and then Lucretia, Lucy Lawless. Even though it's only 6 episodes, it was still pretty good, and it gave more depth to the later seasons, and struggles between characters and everything. Specifically between Peter Menta's character and Destin Clare's character. But again, to the Vengeance season, Lucretia's alive, which is great for fans of Lucy Lawless, because even though she's a total bitch in the show, we still like seeing her on screen. And because even though, like, she seems like a total, I've already said it, so, yeah, you still kind of, there's moments when you think there's good in her still somewhere, because, like, for example, in the first season, whenever the Dominus mentions how he basically freed Spartacus' wife, meaning he had her killed, she does this. She has this surprised look. She's like, but then she looks at Spartacus and she's like, yeah, I feel bad, but not too bad. So anyway, and then she loses her mind basically, or believes she's like blessed by the gods, and that's why she's alive. And then she later finds out that wasn't the case. And then she realizes she's fucked. But with Lithia, I can't stand her. She's horrible. Like, she's even worse. It's like she's worse than For some reason, I hate her worse than Glaber. But so speaking of Glaber, he's a really intense character and really strong evil character. And it's great to have him be the secondary villain in this series. I didn't like him as much in the first season because he was a jerk with Spartacus and he was just too cocky. But he gets a love interest, and then he's more relatable than basically for me. And you get to see him more as a person, not so much as a show off. But I also liked how in these later seasons it also has Nagron and I forgot his name. That'll come to me later probably. But I really admired how they put gay gladiators and gay sex in the show, because that, judging from your audience, it could lower the views it gets or popularity. But it did just fine with it. And that's really something that's, really pretty awesome in a show like this too. It shows there can be strong gay characters, or, even though it doesn't really matter if they're gay or not, there's still people trying to have freedom, or, just like everyone else. And it just added more to the story too. Like, it made it more, I mean, it necessarily wouldn't have made it more realistic, because that wasn't probably allowed back then, I'm sure, which neither was probably having African American people as the head trainer, which I don't see that, but I mean, it could be, because people weren't as ignorant then, maybe, I don't know, at that time. But with the final season, we get this other villain that's he's actually, in a way, really interesting, because the others, they would just hate Spartacus just for the sake of him defying Rome and, murdering and just making a mockery of them, basically, and not wanting to be a slave. So this one, he actually kind of accepts Spartacus, and then he also has a conversation with him at the end about loyalty and respect and honor for your people, and before they fight. And that's really cool in a way. Like, even though they're different and they want to kill each other, basically, they still can be decent men to a degree and talk before they cut each other's heads off. But so again, the CGI doesn't one other nitpick, because it's on Stars. It's not like Netflix originals or nothing, so it's not gonna have as much money probably. But the CGI with the background, like when it has the bird's eye view above the stadium of the gladiatorium, where you can totally tell that's fake, and then the sky in the background, it looks fake. But I mean, it don't really distract me because I mean, it's focusing more on the characters and the story and plot, so I'm more invested in that than what's going on in the background. Jupiter's cock. You will have his cock in you. I'll find a sword in its place. May the gods spread cheeks to ram cock and ass. So if you're a fan of violence, check it out. If you're a fan of good storytelling, check it out. If you're a fan of tits, check it out. If you're a fan of cocks, check it out. It has all the above. But really, though, if you like really good storytelling, and it can be raunchy, it can be vulgar, it can be very graphic in certain scenes, like with the slaves and all, but it is a very good show. It was actually one of my favorites, along with True Blood, when it first came out, and it still really is. I'm watching it probably all of them back to back again for like probably the 5th time. It's the first season I probably saw that alone probably 7 times. Mainly because Andy, Spartacus, it's just so good. But that's my review. I hope you enjoy it and actually go see it. It's on Netflix right now, so check it out or buy it. You can get them really cheap at Walmart. They're only, I think they're, for the set it's like $50 or $30 something. So it's definitely worth it.